Hi, this is Pastor Page. You're listening to TV Confidential.
Ed Robertson, along with a guest, Laurence Luckinbill. Laurence Luckinbill, the actor known around the world as Hank in both the original Broadway production and the original motion picture version of The Boys in the Band. Also the actor known around the world as Glenn Garth Gregory in the Delphi Bureau and Spock's half-brother Sybok in Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. Larry's autobiography, Affective Memories, How Chance in the Theater Saved My Life, is a classic story of a broken man who finds redemption and a second lease on life through the love of a good woman. That woman being Lucy Arnaz, Larry's wife of the past 45 years. Affective Memories, How Chance in the Theater Saved My Life, available wherever books are sold through Sunbury Press, sunburypress.com, as well as Amazon.com. Before we went to break, Larry and I were about to talk about how one of the themes that runs throughout Affective Memories is the many ways in which Providence made its way into Larry's life. One of the examples that pops into my head, I mean, you usually went to pre-med.
Yeah.
And you struggled. And and there's a wonderful scene that you describe with the head. It's Dr. Noyce. I think he was either one of the teachers or the dean.
Dr. Noyce, yeah.
Yes. And he said to you, the reason why you're struggling is that you don't really belong in med school. You belong in the theater.
Yes, what he said was, this was a guy who had been on the Nuremberg trials as a identifier of Cyclone B, which was the poison that they used to kill people. Anyway, I had such respect for this man, and when I sat down, I went blubbering to it, pretending I was Oliver Twist. After I saw my grades for the last semester, which were F and D, and lots of them. And this was the second try I'd had to try to be a doctor. Anyway, I went to this guy's house across the campus and begged entry, and he let me in. And he was playing the piano when I knocked on the door, and he stopped that, and he put me on the piano bench. He said, "Sit down, Luckinbill, I have something to say to you." He said, "You don't know it, but you have entertained us royally this semester." He said, "You don't know that I have eyes in the back of my head, but I do, and your imitation of me is very good." And I feel that I had to change some of the ways I teach because of you. And he said, "But I'm going to tell you something you don't want to hear. You don't belong in the sciences. You belong in the performing arts." And I didn't know that was to be my fate. I had no idea. And it hit me like a ton of bricks, because I also knew I had to go back. My parents had moved to California by then, and I had to go back there and tell my mother that I was no longer going to be her favorite doctor with the mirror on my head and, asking for my patients. I was now heard this thing like the performing arts, which, coming from Arkansas, we knew so little about that because there weren't any.
Yeah.
But there were, I suppose, but it was more like you're going catfish fishing this morning instead of being in Broadway and saying you want to go see a show. And we didn't do that in my family or anybody in Arkansas, I think, at that time. But so I had to face that and figure it out from there. And I did. I signed up for my last 2 years of college at the speech and drama department at the University of Arkansas in Fayetteville. And by gosh, it worked. I was suddenly happy. I was making A's in school and running to my classes. I was so excited. And so I knew something was going on within me. But when you start out to be an actor, you're scared all the time because who gets hired? And my father had put the kibosh on me at one point because he got so tired of me messing around as a class clown and screwing up in high school. He said, "You're not going to be any kind of an actor. You're not good looking. You don't have any talent." "Well, no, you've got about as much talent as a one-legged Indian in an ass-kicking contest." And so that burned me up, man. And I said, I walked out of that car, and that little Kaiser car that he had, and I said, "I'll show you." You know, so who knows how it all happened like that.
Are you aware of what is known, or of a concept, I believe it originates from Christian Science, but it's a concept known as God's Law of Adjustment?
Oh, no, I don't know that.
Okay. It relates to the story you just told about Dr. Noyce saying, Larry, you don't belong in pre-med, you belong in the performing arts.
Yeah.
What I forgot to say in setting up this story is in Affective Memories, you set up that scene with, it's the end of your first year of med school, you're struggling, you're flunking, you need to pass your chemistry class, Dr. Noyce's class, in order to stay in school. And organic chemistry. Organic chemistry, yes. And at one point, you opened up your arms and you looked up to the heavens and you asked God, "Please help me not fail this class, and I will never ask for anything again." Now, according to Chris...
I think I promised that I'd never jerk off again. But, of course, I knew I was lying.
The point is, according to Christian Science, and I know this because I was married to a Christian Scientist for about 7 years.
Uh-huh.
And while I found that particular faith cold in terms of practicing and worship and stuff like that,
yeah.
The one part of Christian Science that resonated with me is what they call God's Law of Adjustment, which is if you are at your lowest ebb, if you open up and ask God, "Please help me get through this," God, or whatever you call the divine being, will adjust the circumstances and help you through it.
Yes.
That's exactly
absolutely. I get that.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I get that. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
There's law of adjustment.
Yeah.
Because that is what happens. You do. If you listen to God when God talks. I have this thing going for me at this age. At this age, you're looking down the barrel,
Mm-hmm.
And it's Clint Eastwood.
Do you feel lucky?
Make my day by dying.
That's right. That's
anyway. Now, when you think about it, I've come to my own conclusions about who and what the divine being or the whatever kind of spirit is actually there to help us all the time.
Yeah.
And so I do speak to this person I call the Father of Love, and inevitably I get an answer. Now, I could say that answer's coming from me, or some part of my mind, but it is also always something about adjustment, about how can I do better, and the answers come. And I think you have to be open to all of that and perfectly willing to accept what comes back.
Yes.
And it's like in Zen, there's a metaphor. If you throw a boomerang out with the right karma on it, it will come back with the right karma.
Mm-hmm.
And if you have bad feelings about something, that comes back on you too.
Yes. And to piggyback on what you just said, you have to be open to the possibility that the adjustment the divine makes in response to your plea may not be exactly the thing you're asking for, but if it helps you navigate the circumstances you're asking help for, and if you remain open, you may discover something else that you hadn't considered.
That's right. That's the adjustment there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So if you say, I want to be a great actor, and God says back to you, no, you're going to sell M&Ms in the store, then that's what you ought to be doing.
Affective Memories, How Chance and the Theater Saved My Life by Laurence Luckinbill, available wherever books are sold through Sunbury Press, sunburypress.com. You can also find Affective Memories, Amazon.com, where books are sold online. Larry will be back next week for part 2 of our conversation. We'll talk about the Delphi Bureau, the short-lived series that Larry headlined for ABC in the early 1970s, and the show whose portrayal of the reluctant action hero was actually ahead of its time for network action adventure. We'll talk about that. We'll also talk about the important life lesson Larry learned while he was starring in A Man for All Seasons, and going back to his original inspiration of the human comedy. We'll talk about some of the humorous moments in Larry's life that he captures in his book. Part 2 of our conversation with Laurence Luckinbill next week on TV Confidential. Stay with us, folks. We'll be right back. One more item. If you're starting a company, particularly one that is in an emerging market, you know that averting any sort of legal dispute is crucial to your business plan. Our friends at Tectonic Law offer an array of services that can help you avoid and preempt future litigation while also developing and protecting your intellectual property and intangible assets. Tectonic Law serves the needs of a host of emerging industries throughout California and beyond, including industrial designers, beverage makers, artists, farmers, retail stores, health practitioners, wellness experts, cosmetics manufacturers, nonprofit organizations, innovators in sustainable practices, and libraries. Go to tectoniclaw.com to learn more about how Tectonic Law can help your business thrive. tectoniclaw.com. Rock solid representation for groundbreaking industries.
This portion of TV Confidential is brought to us by our friends at Front Porch Realty, the community of realtors in the Northern Bay Area of California that is committed to finding the solution that is best for their clients. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or looking to sell or lease your property in Northern California, call Karen Strain at 415-886-7411 or visit frontporchrealtygroup.com for more information on how they can help you.
Hi, this is Barbara Feldon, and you're listening to TV Confidential.
A reminder that you can listen to Morgan White Jr. every Saturday night on WBZ AM FM, WBZNewsRadio.iHeart.com. You can follow Morgan White Jr. on Twitter as well as MorganWhiteJr.com. Memoirs of a Barker's Beauty, Backstage at The Price is Right by Kathleen Bradley. Backstage at The Price is Right, available Amazon.com, wherever books are sold online. You can follow Kathleen Bradley, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and KathleenBradley.tv. We mentioned at the top of the program, this is the 700th edition of TV Confidential. We will embark on our 18th year doing the program next week, but this being our 700th program, I'd like to thank everyone who helps make TV Confidential possible every week, including all of our on-air contributors, our guests, commentators, sponsors, our confidants, our affiliate stations, and the many, many, many other people behind the scenes who contribute to our program one way or another in ways large and small, known and unknown. Most of all, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to you, our audience, not only for listening to our program every week, but for emailing us, tweeting us, posting comments on our social media pages, and for continuing to show your interest and support of this program. We appreciate you making us part of your life every week. We look forward to spending more time with you in the weeks and months ahead. Ed Robertson, Beth Tony Figueroa, Donna Ellen, Phil Grice, and Susan Silver, thank you so much for listening. Stay healthy, stay safe. We'll talk to you next time on TV Confidential.